Live in 3, 2, 1. All right, what is going on, guys? It's Adam aka Marf, and this is Marfoogle TV. We're going to go over a lot today, so stick around. Of course, U.S. intelligence agencies ordered to focus spying activities on Greenland. Now, I was looking, and when I first saw this, I was thinking, like, well, how the heck do they know this? Did they just announce, like, hey, we're going to be spying on this country? But, of course, U.S. intelligence agencies have been ordered to focus their spying activities on Greenland in a stark sign of Donald Trump's determination to acquire the territory. High-ranking officials working under Tulsi Gabbard, the director of national intelligence, issued the instruction to agency heads in a collection emphasis message, the Wall Street Journal reported. Such messages customarily help to set intelligence priorities and direct resources and attention to high-interest targets. The Central Intelligence Agency, the Defense Intelligence Agency, the DIA, and the NSA were all included in the message and its chiefs to study Greenland's independence movement and attitudes towards American efforts to extract resources on the island, according to the journal. It says seasoned intelligence operatives say that the Arctic island has some 50,000 inhabitants and has not historically been a target of U.S. espionage activity. Yeah, I wouldn't think so. Like, that's a pretty small target. To put that in perspective, I mean, Orcas Island was 15,000. That's barely 4 times that, and that's all of Greenland. Pretty insane. 50,000 people. That's a very, very light population. What is it in New York? The population's like 9 million. This is all of Greenland, and they have 50,000. So it definitely shows that they are trying everything, and they are going to try to get Greenland. Why do they want Greenland so bad? Well, most of you know my opinion. I think that they want it. 1, missile defense. 2, for actual putting of our equipment there. But another reason is that I think that there's something up there that a lot of us don't know about. I'll be right back to talk about it. Nothing in this show should be considered legal, medical, or financial advice. The views of the callers can differ considerably and do not necessarily reflect my opinion, Dex's opinion, or anyone else who works with the show. You should always do your own research and consult with professionals. The internet is full of fake news, so please take everything with a grain of salt. If you have not already, it helps us out if you end up going through any of our affiliates, and it helps you out if you end up protecting yourself against cybercrime. NordVPN is one of the best and one of the easiest to use. If you do not have a virtual private network, it protects your IP address, which is your online identity, which actually connects to your real address and everything else. It also connects to you. If you know anything about how they are data logging and basically getting your profiles down, you can prevent that by having a VPN. Nord is, again, one of the easiest. Download it. It's like an on switch and off switch. All you have to do. Go to marfooglenews.com/VPN. Not only will you get a giant discount on this, but you will also be helping us. I appreciate your support, and I appreciate everyone that goes through any of our affiliates. Can't say thank you enough. All right, what is going on, guys? It's Adam aka Marf, and this is Marfoogle TV. Let's bring in my co-host/internet brother, Dex James. What is going on, and how are you doing today?
It's fine.
Yeah, you'll have to say it one more time. I think you were a little bit low.
Well, hello, Adam, and hello, Foogle fam. I'm doing just fine.
All right, so first of all, Dex, we've got the Greenland situation, and then we have another big island that has some really, really strange things going on. We've covered a lot of this, and this actually confirms more of what I have believed for a very long time. What is going on in Cuba? Do you want to talk about what they just found in Cuba?
Yeah, certainly they found some of the exposure of what China's been doing. It's on satellite information now, and they're able to see what is being called a CDAA, which is a circularly disposed antenna array. It's just outside of Havana. It's in a town called Bajucal, or just outside of it. I think we even have it on our map too. But that's the satellite image that they've got from the commercial satellite Maxar that's showing the antenna array, as well as a whole lot of other installations that are from China. So this is all China's investment into their espionage efforts into Cuba. And why it's important is that radio array can zero in on signals 3,000 to 8,000 miles away, which basically puts U.S. military bases, Washington, D.C., all within the range of that location. So, even people on Capitol Hill or, different Congress people are concerned enough that they're calling, the Homeland Security Secretary to come testify on it. They want to understand the PRC is positioning itself to systematically erode the U.S. strategic advantages without even firing a shot, read a letter from Homeland Security Chairman Mark Green as they were preparing other lawmakers with information. So, that's right in our back door. So literally right there. And they've invested. We knew they were talking. We talked about it last year. They thought they were building stuff there. Now they're getting images of what's actually been built.
And as far as Cuba's also doing deals with Russia. I mean, we saw that very strange deal that they did with Russia where 200,000 Russians were allowed every year as tourists. And, of course, that was right prior to a huge visit where many Russian ships pulled right up to Cuba. Of course, we have Guantanamo Bay right there, but the rest of it, you're talking about you've got strange buildings, you've got all sorts of radio and communication equipment that's getting put up. Both Russia and China have been accused of training there. And then, of course, you have this. It's like it's very obvious that they are preparing for a massive event, and they're actually preparing all of the strategic and logistical options as well, as far as communications too, and being able to how to travel to and from. I mean, it's all happening right now, and people are still in the dark. They still think that it's never going to happen. Oh well, we're too entangled. Well, look at what's happening to that. I'm really hoping that these talks go well on Saturday. It was or something like that, but I hope the talks do go well because honestly. It looks like we are decoupling from China, and that pretty much points to a massive war. I know some people are excited about it. They're like, hell, let's go to war right now. Let's kick their ass and show them what we're made of. But I don't think anybody really wants to see a war with China. It's going to be nasty, and it's going to be scary. So, again, tell me what you guys think. Do you want to see a war with China? Do you want to kick their asses, or do you want to avoid all wars if possible? Let me know in the chat below. And then I do want to say thank you real quick. Thank you, Ewok Jerky. Thank you for the support yesterday. And then thank you, Catherine Goudreau. Thank you. It says, thank you as always for being here for us. Eric Markey Carnivali, thank you so much for subscribing. And thank you for being here. All right. And then moving on, we've got, could Taiwan survive an EMP? Attacked by China. Again, this is something that Taiwanese officials have actually been talking about because they believe they're 120 miles off the coast of China, and the first thing that will go is communications, most likely the underwater sea cables, and they could possibly be quarantined and put into a blockade, but they're also worried about actually getting hit by an EMP. China's electromagnetic pulse weapons are an increasing concern, but Taiwan remains underprepared for the threat. Now, Dex, as far as an EMP from China to Taiwan, I would think that they wouldn't do that because of all of the high-tech stuff there and kind of, the things that they want to take off that island. But I wonder if this is something that they, could they do an EMP and not damage the stuff?
Well, they certainly could do targeted EMPs. They've actually invested quite heavily in what's called an HPM, which is a high-powered microwave EMP that emits electronic pulses. They actually, about 90% of all HPM-related patents globally are owned by China or China-affiliated organizations. So they have a significant stranglehold on that particular technology, which would be more targeted, focused. I mean, if they, they certainly have high altitude EMPs, HEMPs, as we talk about quite often here. Those are nukes that, you detonate up in the upper atmosphere. Now, those spread fairly wide. Now, you can make it kind of narrow by bringing the altitude down, but there's only so much you can do. There comes a point where you get diminishing returns, and Taiwan is so close. So I think that kind of explains maybe the investment in HPM so heavily, because that would be something that would be more targeted and direct as opposed to widespreading like a hemp.
So if you're not catching on, the HBM, this is something that would be targeted, and they could knock out what they want to knock out while keeping the things they don't want to knock out still functional. This looks like it would be something that if we ever got into a conflict with them, they would use that a lot. You can see what their focus is, and that's why we have focused on this so much, because look at what 90% of all of the patents for these are all going to China. It's very obvious what China has been focusing on. Not only that, China has been giving technology to all of our adversaries, and even some of the crazier ones that we do worry about actually trying to do something. Dex, go ahead.
Well, and these are small. They're designed to go onto land vehicles, aircraft, naval vessels, cruise missiles. But also think about the fact that those could easily be put into containers. They could be in containers, and they might even be less detectable depending on the type of technology that's in there. So, yeah.
Which containers could be pulled by truck, by boat, by pretty much any, even, of course, some of the biggest planes, right? So you have a weapon that could be taken pretty much anywhere and even be taken anywhere on the low. I believe,
and loitering there too. They could be hanging out for a year or more.
Yep, yeah, that's the creepy part about the container weapons or anything that's portable. It's like they could end up bringing it right up to your doorstep. Again, this is why we've recommended everybody have EMP shields. I hope that you guys have checked it out. We were actually, normally it is something else, so I will just show you real quick. If you haven't gone and checked these out, go over and check out EMP Shield, because this is a great company. It can protect you against EMP, but it can also protect you against a Carrington level event from the sun. Follow the sun stuff through Wages. I highly recommend watching his channel because he's been covering all sorts of crazy stuff on his channel. Go over to marfooglenews.com/EMP. Not only will you support our independent channel, but you'll also support, again, yourself in the right of that you are going to have a car that's going to run through anything, whether it be an EMP or a solar event. Or you'll have a generator, a truck, a motorcycle, a boat, again, a home. An entire home can be wired up with this, and it will protect everything plugged in within 250 linear feet of where it's wired in. It is incredible. It is a very, very smart device as far as everybody who is a prepper that wants to bug in. You absolutely should have this on your home or at least on your generator. Go to marfooglenews.com/EMP. Make sure to use the code MARF, especially with the Liberty sale. So again, marfooglenews.com/EMP, and make sure to use the code MARF. All right, and then let's talk about Pakistan. So India and Pakistan has just like totally blown up. This whole thing is escalated way out of control. If you have been under a rock for the last couple days, India struck Pakistan, and that was in response for a T attack that actually happened, and Pakistan even denied. So now you've got, of course, India attacking Pakistan to the point where it looked like a nuke went off in Pakistan. Now they are essentially declaring war. Dex, do you want to talk about this? Basically just lit up the whole area.
Yeah, so 48 hours, that's what they've done. They've closed the airspace for 48 hours. They've authorized a response to the Indian attack, and we're expecting an escalation at any moment. So that, I think it's probably daytime there. So it could be, that's why there's a 48-hour period. I don't know if it'll be a daytime response or a nighttime response, but a lot of people are sitting on pins and needles right now, wondering what's going to happen, what the retaliation from Pakistan will be. The big question is, will they consider, I think it's way too early, but would they consider using their nukes only because they feel like they technically do have a disadvantage to the sheer numbers and force of India, and having that nuke was always something that gave them an equalization. And the fact that they don't have a no first use policy would certainly lend itself towards them using it if they felt like they were behind. Now that's why I think they would have to actually get to a greater level of fighting before that would happen, but you never know.
And again, these were religious targets as well. It says it targeted mosques that were hit across 6 locations in its territory. Really think about that. I mean, if you really wanted to go for somebody's side, you go for the religious locations. So this is both sides are absolutely going for each other. And this is in response. The Kashmir event, the people that were taken out in point blank, those people were Hindu, and they said that they were targeted because they were Hindu, right? So this isn't like this isn't a financial conflict. This is straight up a religious conflict. And this is something that they're never, ever going to see eye to eye on. So this is something that once it escalates, I mean, this is something that's hard to go back from. Unless you have something so horrible that everybody just goes, wow, we can't do this anymore. I mean, that's how most of the wars have ended, if not taking out a tyrant. So, and then the Fed holds rates steady as it notes rising uncertainty and stagflation risk. So, first of all, the Fed Reserve held its key interest rate unchanged in a range of 4.25, and where it's been since December. The post-meeting statement noted that the recent market volatility, how it is factoring into the central bank's policy decisions, uncertainty about the economic outlook has increased further, the statement said. Going into it, the Federal Reserve on Wednesday held its key interest rate unchanged as it waits for the Trump administration's trade policy to take shape and see its impact on a sputtering economy. In a move that carried little suspense given the wave of uncertainty sweeping the political and economic landscape, the Federal Open Market Committee held its benchmark overnight borrowing rate in the range of 4.25% to 4.5%. And it says the post-meeting statement noted the volatility, and it said, again, the committee is attentive to the risks of both sides of its dual mandate and the judges that the risks of higher unemployment and higher inflation have risen. So they're straight up telling us right now that right now it is even more likely we are going to have even worse inflation. Now, I'm all for all of the changes that are happening if there's somewhere down the road that we actually get to the light at the end of the tunnel. In fact, everybody has said, including the president, said that all of these changes will absolutely be a rough time. Like everything that's going on, all of the tariffs, that it's going to be a rough road ahead. But most things, if you need to fix something that's horribly broken, or if a house is just completely horrible, you have to tear it down to build it back up again. Sometimes you have to go down to the foundation. And that's what many are saying about everything that's going on right now, is that our system is broken all the way down to the bottom. So they have to tear all of this up. And when you're tearing up a house, it's pretty inconvenient staying at a bed and breakfast or at a hotel or in your car. And that's pretty much where some people are. And that's not because they're getting a new house built, but because they don't have one right now. And that is due to inflation and stagflation and shrinkflation and everything, every kind of inflation. So, Dex, going further into the rates and what this means, it's like, this is obviously everybody is kind of on the tips of their seats trying to figure out where this is going to go.
Well, look, this was something that the President Trump was pushing them to lower, and it even made sense. Like he was crashing the economy to force the Fed, because that's what they do. They have to respond to economic numbers. He was crashing down the economy to force them to lower the rates. If they lowered the rates, it would be a windfall for everyone. Like we would have lower rates. You could have better mortgages, better loans, but more importantly, the national debt, which is going to be refinanced each year, but a big chunk is coming up this year, will be on a much lower rate than on the high rate it is now. It would save trillions of dollars. So, hundreds of billions, if not $1 trillion. It's a lot of money that it would save over a 4-year period on that rate. They're not budging, but it's because they're in this lock with Trump, and he's been pushing them hard to get them to drop the rates. They've been acting the way they act, which is we're going to do what we want to do. I mean, this is a non-elected committee. It is a board of governors that makes up the Fed. They're appointed, have a 14-year term. There's like 7 of them. And then the rest of the board is made up of all of the national banks, or the banks of each of the different regions. So the leaderships of those banks are nominated in. So it's a whole bunch of bankers running this. It is not necessarily the government. There's always been a struggle outside of, with presidents and the Fed. And I know a lot of people are concerned with the Fed too, because it's like they're running things, but there's really no accountability to the people outside of the fact that Congress created it, but then it's sort of left it alone. And it's been doing its own thing ever since Congress created it. There's hardly any oversight too. You get very little insight into the monetary decisions that they make and these policy decisions. They do not have to have transparency.
Yeah, I mean, the whole thing is corrupt system, if you ask me, and everything that's been happening with all of this. It's like there's shadowy figures in the mix that are at every single level of this thing. And it's like, if this is truly what it looks like, it's like, you literally have to do harm and just completely screw things up to have some of these people actually do something about it. Because they're stuck in a position where everybody's looking at them and like, you have to do something. Otherwise, they wouldn't, because they don't have to, and they'll do the opposite of what you want them to do. And then North Korean leader urges increased artillery shell production amid Russian alignment. So North Korea and Kim Jong-un essentially have now boosted their production of artillery shells. And obviously, these are signs that they may be going into a war. We showed you that there was 1,500 of their soldiers on the border of South Korea. They've blown up all of the actual connectors between their countries. Obviously, the stuff that went down in South Korea, not only was that connected to China, but it was connected to China helping North Koreans, in the North versus the South, issue. North Korea's official Korean Central News Agency said that Kim, during recent visits of unspecified munitions and machinery factories, praised modernization efforts that the agency claimed enabled the facilities to double their annual shell production. And where those shells going to go, not only in their own conflict, but also in Russia's, right? So they are massively producing, and we don't know exactly what the exports of those are going. Did they just get a memo that, Russia's about to kick things up a notch? Are they about to go to a conflict themselves, so they need twice as many because they're about to go with South Korea? Or are they going to, end up shipping some of these out to China? Who knows? Again, I highly doubt that. But again, with Russia, I do believe that this is definitely related, and they're going to be shipping them out to Russia, especially after that minerals deal was signed with Ukraine. That war is not going anywhere anytime soon. Even our vice president said that this isn't going to end anytime soon. So, again, what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. And then Dex Xi aims to be up to beef up the no limits Putin partnership, which is crazy. It's already no limits. How do you beef up a no limit partnership?
Yeah, I was wondering the same thing. That headline's kind of crazy, right? Well, he's wheels up. Xi is in, probably already there now, but he left for Moscow for the big 3-day event. He's visiting for the Grand Victory Day Parade. They've declared their no limits partnership, obviously, right before Russia invaded Ukraine. And they expect to see that continue. They've had a very strong relationship, and, the Kremlin praised Russia-China relations as a genuine example of cooperation, they said, at their highest point. They do plan to talk specifically about Ukraine and Russia and U.S. relations and, where they go from here. But I have a sneaking suspicion they've got their plans. They're supposed to be outside of the Victory Day Parade, which is supposed to be the biggest ever, according to Putin. It's the 80th anniversary of World War II and the defeat there of Germany. But I have a sneaking suspicion there's going to be some additional planning going on between Putin and Xi as far as what's the next steps in the decoupling, if you want to call it that, and the bifurcation of the world, so to speak, where everybody's picking a side.
Yeah. So, and with Xi and him physically meeting, I mean, you all the things that can be done physically in person in a tight, closed room. There's a lot of moves that can be made that they don't usually try to do on even encrypted communications. So we'll see what ends up happening. Now, I want to remind you guys, a lot of people have been asking because we haven't shown this much lately. So make sure to go over and check out marfooglenews.com/prep if you haven't already. It's having problems loading again, but once it does, I will tell you. So this is through My Patriot Supply. marfooglenews.com/prep is a very easy link to remember, and it is a great, great deal. There is usually anywhere from $100 off to $200 off on the 3-month package. And as far as that goes, that's 3 months of food. And that is 3 months of food for one person, or again, or a month for 3 people, or a month and a half for 2 people. Go over to marfooglenews.com/prep to go check it out. Again, it's not loading for me, but I will show you that at the very end. Again, marfooglenews.com/prep. And again, make sure you don't even have to use a code with that one. Just make sure to use that correct link, and it will give you that discount. Everything will be have that same discount on it too, so make sure to go check that out. There's also all sorts of other stuff as well. All right. And then let's go over to on the edge. Nuclear war could break out at any time. So this is a massive, massive war. And I do believe that this is something that kind of came out of left field. I mean, obviously, India and Pakistan have been on, absolute horrible terms for a very long time. They're never going to see eye to eye. In India, you had this attack that happened to Hindu, and then their response essentially attacked more than 6 mosques. So you've got a religious conflict that just popped off and lit the whole area on fire. Well, now they're talking about even a time frame and talking about nuclear conflict. Dex, do you want to pop in on this? This is really this thing. Everybody was talking about China and Taiwan, North Korea, South Korea, Russia and Ukraine, even Venezuela and Guyana before they were talking about India and Pakistan. This has now come out of left field. Almost all of it popped out and really came to the forefront right when we started signing deals with not only UK and India, but also the USA. J.D. Vance actually visited right before all of this went down too. I mean, this is crazy.
He was there.
Yeah, he was
there. Actually there when the event happened, I believe, or it was it was the same day. I don't think he was at the event, but he was, visiting. So yeah, big deal. But it is also a big deal because China has backed Pakistan. And, when you look at a map, pay attention. I mean, China is butted right up against India just as much as they're butted up against Pakistan there. So the area is, it's clear that there's sides drawn. And you can easily think that Pakistan is going to feel emboldened with the backing of China. They know that, while India has a huge military and a huge amount of resources, and I don't want to say dwarfs, but at least comes close to doubling, I think, what Pakistan has. With China behind them, it's totally different. It's a different ballgame. And while we're not seeing China talk publicly about that, we do know specifically, and it's been reported widely that they've been investing heavily into Pakistan, and we've seen them investing in lots of the other Middle Eastern countries where they can, especially Egypt and others, to displace traditional relations that the West has had or America has had with these countries. So, if America's siding with India or partnering up with India and China is in with Pakistan, it seems like there's a potential here for a proxy. It seems like there's an obvious potential there. And then you also have to wonder what happens to the Russian-India relationship. That's always been a strong one. And how does that play out between Putin and Xi? If they have opposite sides on this potential deal, or how it plays out. So yeah, but look, the headline is that the defense minister of Pakistan is the one warning of nuclear war. He's the defense minister. He is Pakistan. They have nukes and they don't have a no first use policy. So he's putting it out there.
And there's been specific time frames of 24 to 72 hours put out before. Now you're talking in the next 48 hours, we're actually going to see hopefully no nuclear anything. But we will see the response, right? We're going to see at least the comments of them telling you what's going to happen. And some experts are even saying that they believe that this could go hot very quickly after the specific targets that they hit, those mosques, the significance of that, as far as the people that have studied where these targets were. India picked their targets, and they picked them good as far as, kicking a bee's nest. So Pakistan by themselves is not nothing, but, you've got Pakistan has nuclear weapons. That's the thing. Even the tiniest country with nukes, it changes the game. But with China's backing, they don't have to go nuclear for this thing to go crazy. And like Dex said, you have India being Russia's ally, and then, of course, Pakistan being China's ally. There are no limits. They just put that, obviously out in public that they're beefing it up or whatever. But as far as that goes, now they're both supporting the opposite side of this conflict. So maybe that will mean that they will end up talking to them for the public angle, they'll say, oh, well, we helped them, have peace. But in reality, they were doing some sort of deal. I don't know. But it seems like India is now working with the U.S. Countries are picking sides. What if India said, okay, U.S., we're going to pick you over Russia in the future because we're going to have to cut Russia out of it. We're going to have to not be their ally once all of this goes down. China's not happy right now. India wants to replace China. If you've seen the Made in India, the programs that they're doing, India essentially wants to, in a certain amount of years, to essentially replace China completely. I think both of them are stupid because handmade stuff isn't going to be a thing in the future. They're going to have robots making it. Heck, you won't even watch this show in the future. You won't even read these articles. You'll just have your AI assistant sum up the show and give you the cliff notes. It's pretty horrible. That's where I think the future is going. And honestly, I think that, this war is probably more so about secrets. There's secret things that they're fighting over more so than public, or they're not even fighting over something. They're fighting because it is screwing up some other country and it's part of a bigger agenda. But what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. Catherine Goudreau, thank you so much. I appreciate you. Ewok Jerky. Thank you, Jamada. Thank you, Jamada11. Thank you, Boring Hornet. Devin Backus. April Fierce Family. Good to go. Thank you. Again, thank you, Rochelle Cooley. Thank you, Carol White. Genius by Birth. Thank you for the support this week. I appreciate you guys. And then thank your mods. Make sure to go over and check them out at marfooglenews.com/ again, friends. You've got all of our mods, and you also have all of our awesome friends and creators over there. So make sure to go check out that list. Go make sure to subscribe. You've got lots of really, really great people, really smart people like Trinity, very funny people like Ilea, and very awesome people like Wages. Of course, you've got Jammer, and of course, make sure to thank your wonderful mod Bobby Sue as well. Thank you guys. I appreciate you. Dex, thank you so much for your service tonight. I appreciate you.
Much love. Great job, brother.
And just in case that there's at least two people, I don't know if we can fix that, the prep thing, but I can show that during the shoutro.
Just try and reload it. It was working on my end.
Okay. Yeah.
Refresh should fix that, I think.
Yeah, I tried to refresh 3 or 4 times. It just wouldn't do it. So I'll figure it out. Thank you, though. All right, you guys. Well, it is now time for the shoutro. It's not an outro. It's not a shout out. It is a shoutro.